Hello everyone, my name is Kenton Kivestu. I'm an ex-Googler, an ex-BCG consultant, and the founder of Rocketblocks, an online platform that helps candidates prepare for interviews. In today's Rocketblocks mini lesson, we're going to talk about a really exciting topic, which is product management. And as we've talked about in some of our past videos, this is in an increasingly popular role within the consulting firms themselves, like McKinsey and BCG, who are doing more implementation and software work and thus need product managers, as well as obviously the big tech companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook hiring tons of product managers. It's just a very exciting role and an interesting career path. And so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about the fundamentals of what is product management. And to do that and to really understand it, we need to look at three specific things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the product itself. So when someone says, I am a product manager, what is the product they're actually talking about? What is the scope of that software and technology? And so we're going to understand that first. Then the second thing we're going to do is talk about what does a product team look like? Who do product managers work with? What are the different functions and roles, and how does that all fit together? So we can really understand the context that they work within. And then the third thing is, once we've set all that context, we're going to talk about the specific tasks that a product manager might do within that organization and on that product. And so by the time we get to that, you should have a really good understanding of how product managers are operating, the context that they are operating within, and what specific tasks they're doing. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's start by defining what we mean by product. And the definition I want you to keep in mind is that a product refers to a set of features and functionality that a product manager is responsible for. Now, from a consumer perspective, it's easy to think about technology products at a much broader level. For example, we might think of, well, Google provides us with the Gmail product for our phone, or Facebook provides us with the Instagram product, or Uber provides us with the Uber app product. And that's sort of what we think about as a product. But from a product manager's perspective, your remit and what you're focused on is actually going to be a specific subset of features and functionality that help provide that overall experience to either a consumer or, in the B2B case, a different business or a business user. So that's the level we want to think about in terms of what a product means when we're talking about what a product manager might be responsible for. Now, to take it a level deeper and really illustrate this concept, what I want to do is walk through a fictional breakdown of what this might look like at Uber. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw up an image here, and we're going to walk through and talk about what a product manager might be in charge of at Uber. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, let's start on the left side of this chart. And there we've got Uber. This is what we know as a consumer. This is the starting point. The first cut that we want to think about as well, Uber has different business lines. They have their core ride-sharing business line, which is probably the part we're all most familiar with, but they also have a lot of non-ride-sharing businesses. So that's the first distinction we want to make. And from an organizational perspective and where PMs focus, they're going to be broken down into similar buckets. Then let's look at the next cut. So even within ride-sharing, there is distinctions there. There's probably the key distinction is between the PMs that are focused on rider-facing functionality, so this is functionality that the riders see and interact with, versus functionality that the drivers use and interact with. So we may have never thought about this from a consumer perspective, but their product manager is going to be focused on both of those different areas, which have different needs, features, and sets of functionality. Now we can even do a cut deeper. So if we jump into the specific rider bucket and look at that, there's going to be PMs aligned against all sorts of different sets of features and functionality. And I've put a few of them on this chart to illustrate, but this is by no means exhaustive. But let's talk through a few of them. So if you're a PM within the rider group, you might be focused on, say, the onboarding flow for bringing new riders into the system. That might be a set of features and functionality that one PM might be in charge of. Or there might be another PM or set of PMs that are looking at what is the ride experience itself looks like. So once a rider is in the car traveling with an Uber driver, what sort of features and functionality are provided to the user in that particular case? Or a third bucket might be the Uber Rewards program. How does that operate? How does it look and feel? How do the actual riders interact with that? There might be a whole set of PMs, again, aligned against that set of features and functionality. And if you look on down the line at this whole organization we have here, you see that there are these narrow, specific sets of features and functionality aligned up against these different product groups, business lines, and ultimately they all roll back up to Uber. But that is the level you want to be thinking of when you think about a product manager and the quote-unquote product that he or she might be in charge of, is that level of specificity. Now that we've talked about what a product actually is, let's focus on what are the teams that actually ship and build software products look like. And the first thing I want to point out is that these teams are incredibly cross-functional. So a product manager working on one of these teams is going to be working with engineers that are building and coding the features and functionality. They're going to be working with designers who are, figuring out how it's going to look and feel. They might be working with marketers who are going to help market and pitch and sell the product. They might be working directly with some salespeople as well who will be on the front lines really selling the product, maybe customer support, maybe there's some legal contacts if it's a complicated product. There's a whole host of different functions that a product manager is going to be working with in the process of actually shipping these software products. So that's the first thing. The second thing you need to know is that product managers live at the center of this hub and spoke model. So if you think about all those different functions we were just talking about, the way they're organized in terms of a team is sort of like this. It's a hub and spoke model with the product manager at the center and all these different functions sort of wrapped around him or her, helping build, market, sell, design, whatever products they're working on. And so one of the key consequences of this from a role and a job perspective is that the product manager is sort of the one person on the team that's seeing the breadth of everything going on. They're the one person that's in the appropriate position to say, reach out to the marketing team and say, hey, you got to make sure the marketing materials are really highlighting X and Y because that's the functionality that the engineers are building and that's what we're going to deliver to the customer. So that's what we need to market. So a lot of the realities of the product manager job also stem from the structural organization of how these teams are set up. And that's going to dictate sort of the actual individual tasks that product managers really end up doing on the job, which is what we're going to talk about in this next section. Now that we've talked about what a product is and what the teams look like that ship these products, let's talk about the tasks and sort of the roles that a product manager plays within it. And there's really a couple of things that you need to understand that help put all these tasks into context. The first is that because of the nature of the hub and spoke organization that we talked about, a lot of the work that PMs end up doing and the tasks that they end up doing tend to be the type of things that don't fit neatly into any of the specific functions that surround them. So it's not specifically an engineering task or it's not specifically a marketing task. For example, PMs aren't actually writing code, nor are they typically the person making, say, like the marketing collateral deck. But there might be things that sort of connect and that live sort of within those functions that do fall to a PM's plate. So that's the first thing. The second thing to understand is that the nature of the tasks that PMs do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis totally spans the spectrum. So you have on one end strategic tasks, and on the other end, highly tactical operational tasks. So that's the second sort of key thing to understand. Now let's talk about some examples of what those tasks might end up actually looking like. On the strategic side, you've got tasks like, well, what is the vision for this product area? What is the vision for where this set of features and functionality is actually going? And related to what is the vision, what is the actual roadmap to get there? What new features need to be built? What functionality needs to be changed? How does everything need to come together and what order of operations to reach that vision? Then in service of those strategic tasks, there might also be sort of support tasks that a PM needs to coordinate or organize to get that done. So that might be something like, well, they might need to organize some user research sessions to better understand the pain points their users are having and what they should fix. And then they might need to organize maybe, say, some brainstorming sessions with the expanded engineering team and marketing team and sales team to talk about what are actually the best ways to address the pain points that came out of the user research sessions. So those are some of the strategic tasks that the PM might focus on, as well as some of the tasks that come out of and work sort of in service of supporting those strategic tasks. On the flip side, you have really operational and tactical tasks. So this might be something like sitting down and looking at the list of bugs that are live in the current set of features and functionality, and maybe there's 12 bugs and you need to prioritize 2 of them because the engineers can only fix 2 in the next upcoming release. So that's a super tactical task that has to do with sort of like understanding the users and prioritizing what bugs might be having the biggest impact. On the flip side, there might be another super tactical task, like say sitting down and training the customer support lead on a new feature that's coming out next week that's going to have some impact on customers and how they support customers. So you need to sit down and help him or her understand what that feature is, what's changing, and what it means for their job and how they support customers. So another very tactical task, very different than the engineering-focused bug prioritization task, but again, something that would fall to the customer, or sorry, would fall to the product manager on this team. So again, to summarize, a range of different tasks that sort of don't fall into any specific bucket on the product team, and they cover the span of strategic to very tactical tasks. This is together what makes product management such a demanding but also fun job. You get to wear a lot of hats, you get to do a lot of work that is sort of at the intersection of different functions, makes it very challenging but also very fun and very rewarding. Okay, so in conclusion, one thing that should be obvious from the prior sections we've been discussing is that product management is a job that inherently has a lot of variance built into it. It has variance built in from the type of functions you're interacting with, say, engineers to designers to sales folks, as well as a lot of variance in the types of tasks that you'll be taking on, from the strategic tasks like defining and keeping and socializing the vision of where your product is going, to super tactical things like prioritizing the bug list, etc. But all of them are important for the overall role of product management and making the product successful. So this variance does create a lot of challenges for product managers, and what we're going to do in our next video is talk about a 3-part framework for thinking about the role of product management and trying to kind of simplify and put some sense around this highly variable world that product managers deal with. So thank you so much for watching. We have a ton of great content coming out on both the consulting career paths and interviews, as well as product management and interviews as well. So if you haven't subscribed yet already, please do so below. There is a big red button, and that means you'll get all our videos as soon as they come out. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.